garnished with New Mexico's Hatch Green Chili. Tempt your taste buds with mouth-watering fresh ingredients.
Cut!
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger that's created from certified Angus beef, sinfully cooked to juicy perfection, and garnished with New Mexico's Hatch Green Chili. Tempt your taste buds with mouth-watering fresh ingredients.
Cut!
We're gonna need another Laguna Burger.
Try the irresistible, world-famous Laguna Burger. Visit thelagunaburger.com. It's fresh with a kick.
Take 32.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Red.
Aha! I got this. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Red Menace TV. I'm Michael Carlisle, along with Leroy Lucero. How are you, Leroy?
I didn't even know you had warmed up. I was warmed up and ready to go. I didn't know you had warmed up.
Well, Alden asked if you wanted to do it, and you said, no, I'm fine. I think Carlisle's doing a good job. I'll just be the number two.
I'll always stand behind you, Mike. You know that.
Well, I know, behind me. You
Yeah.
never try to get out in front.
I never try.
Behind
Wow.
me's not a good place to be, by the way. Just saying.
Okay. Woo, all right. Hey, 2 weeks. It's been a couple weeks since we've been off. And in those 2 weeks, when we left, the Lobos were on a winning streak. The Cowboys were on a winning streak. We come back, and the Lobos are on a losing streak, and the Cowboys are sucking.
I think the Lobos were actually on a one-game losing skid, the last show we did.
Oh, they just
they've lost three
to
in a
Notre
row.
Dame. That's right.
Well, no, they just lost to Liberty, if I'm not mistaken, because they've lost twice since then.
Okay, all right, you're right. So it's, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because they played 2 games since at San Jose State, and then this past week at home to
Yeah, you're right.
Colorado
You're
State.
absolutely right. So they're on a 4-game losing streak then, right?
They're on a 3-game losing streak.
Oh, because they beat New Mexico State
yeah.
after Notre
You really
Dame.
don't keep up with Lobo football anymore, do you?
You know,
oh my goodness.
I'll tell you, it's a disaster. I mean, it's a disaster that we talked about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was talking about this being a disaster, and I think everyone tried to put the rah-rah on it, tried to put lipstick on that pig, but it's still a pig. And I think things are getting worse now. We saw the story, Greg Archuleta had it on, and this is the first time I had heard it, but you had mentioned that they mentioned it on the radio show. On Friday.
Maybe he mentioned it in his post-game press conference. Right
Well, he had mentioned that he wasn't ready, but he didn't really go into detail about what that meant. And I think the detail's out there now that he was just like, yeah.
Well, for those who aren't following Lobo football like you,
like me,
we should probably fill in some blanks here. The story is, as we know, Sharon Jones has supplanted Tavaka Tuioti as the starter. Sharon. They went to supposedly to Tuioti at some point during the game. What do you think about warming up and maybe going in? And Tuioti's response was, I'm behind Sharon. I'm supporting him. We're moving the ball. It's probably best for him to stay in. Which on the surface sounds like, wow, this guy didn't want to go into the game. Right. And maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. Bob Davie clarified that Tuesday at his weekly press conference that it wasn't that he was pouting or just didn't want to go in. He was trying to be a good teammate. But as Davie said that they've talked to him a few times since Friday night, they tried to explain that you also have to be a guy who wants the ball, who wants to go in there, who wants to take charge. It's admirable trying to be a good teammate and support Sharon, but if we need you, we need you, and we need you to be ready. So, I mean, that's where we are with that. You can delve into that however you'd like.
4, maybe possibly 5 years of college football in your life, right?
Right.
Of that, how many starting quarterbacks or quarterbacks that get on the field are there? If you're in New Mexico, there's a ton. But
yeah. all of them.
No,
it's
you
true.
just blew up my whole statement.
Sorry. But in most places, no. I totally get what you're saying.
I would think that, especially what happened, in the off season and all that, you would take every opportunity you could to get on the. Now,
you would. But
on the flip side, he's absolutely right. Sharon Jones was moving the team on the ground.
On the ground, but
I think as far as the option, which that once again that gets to what is New Mexico's identity.
Yeah.
And as far as running the option, Jones is the best option that there is to run the option.
Sure, but they don't really run the option that much either.
Well, they did this week.
A little bit. To be fair to Vaca, and again, I'm not going to try to spin this one way or the other because I don't know what the real truth is.
And we're kind of past it anyway.
Right, but if you look at the situation he's been in with, illness in the family, a couple of passings, he got a ton of support for his teammates. So it is entirely possible he was trying to be a good teammate, at the expense of his own career and say, look, they're moving the ball. I got Sharon. He's, let's just leave him in there. That's entirely possible as well.
Now, we talked a little bit off the air because that New Mexico State game, which
seems like so long ago.
It was long ago. And the thing is, even in that game, Tuioti, he overthrew a lot of receivers. He throws high. He throws on the run a lot. He doesn't set. His mechanics are a little rough. He's still, as far as throwing, probably the best option the Lobos have now that Hughes is out. I thought Hughes actually threw the ball better, but he wasn't the savior that I think a lot of people thought was going to be there.
That's
Mexico
probably
State.
fair. Yeah, and look, he overall had a really good game against the Aggies. You're not wrong on he overthrew some guys and all that.
I mean,
sure,
it's the Aggies.
but true. But since then, he struggled at Liberty. He struggled at San Jose State, but before he was taken out.
And it was the same thing, overthrowing receivers. Now, he's I don't. Would you say he hesitantly pulls the ball down or no? And takes off?
Well,
I
don't
he suffered the injuries.
Yeah, I don't know that he's scared of getting hurt per se, but I don't think they want him to pull the ball down and run too much because of injury concerns.
And once again, that goes back to, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about this a lot. What is the identity on this offense?
Well, it changes with the quarterback. I think you're still a run-first team. But if Brant Hughes doesn't get hurt, I think the passing game is showcased a lot more.
Okay.
If Tavaca was more accurate, I think the passing game would have been showcased more with him. Once Sharon goes in, it's definitely focused more on the run. And you saw that even in the Colorado State game, Sharon only threw the ball 17 times.
Right.
For 89 yards.
And a lot of that was at the end when they were trying to catch up, and they were, he was forced.
I believe he had 6 attempts in the first half.
Right. So I mean, they wanted to run the ball.
Sure.
It kind of went back to the old offense that they had.
Yeah, but depending on the quarterback, the identity does change some. And Coach Davey addressed that at his weekly press conference this week. He was asked how much the offense changes. I think the exact way he was asked was it limited, depending on the quarterback, and he didn't quite phrase it that way. But he did acknowledge, we're more focused on the run, and if Sharon's in there, some of the pass plays maybe aren't quite there. But you're right, this team, look, they've struggled offensively. I don't really know if they're sure what they are as an offense right now. We can talk about the defense giving up 35 points. They've given up a ton of yards. But when the offense isn't holding up their end of the deal and there's a lot of punts and the other team and turnovers, and the other team gets good field position a lot, it's hard to be a good defense.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
And
I actually don't think the defense is nearly as bad as maybe statistically it looks. I'm not telling you they're a great defense
Right.
or even a very good one, but I think they've been the victim of a lot of bad field position as a result of turnovers and not being able to move
I
the
think
football.
that's part of it. I think another part of it is when you have the one wide receiver that toasts you on a regular basis, and you
and
basically
look,
let him run free constantly.
And look, there's no doubt that there's troubles in the secondary. They do have a problem, no matter who the team is guarding their big wide receiver. And we've seen teams exploit that. We'll continue to see that.
Yeah.
And until the Lobos prove they can stop it, absolutely teams are
Or
gonna
get
go
more
for that.
pressure on the quarterback. I
Yeah.
mean, that's part of it
Sure.
too. But I mean, what was his number even for Colorado State? It was 9, I think? I mean, it was like, that guy's still catching passes, I think.
Warren Jackson.
Yeah, I think he's still catching passes.
9 catches, 214 yards, and 2
And I
touchdowns.
mean, he was wide open every time. I mean, and the one time when they had him fenced in, I think the 3 Lobos hit each other like Keystone Cops, and he just kind of walked into the, he's a great, I don't know if he's a great player. He was that day.
He was that day for sure.
He was that day, and then you take that off the Liberty game as well, and even the New Mexico State offense was able to basically get it up and running and moving pretty well against the defense. Offensively, we've talked about this for the past couple of years, that the Lobos didn't have that home run hitter.
Right.
I think they have him now in Bryson Carroll. I think that guy, he's in and out of the hole really fast. You've got to hold on to the ball when you're going into the end zone. That didn't hurt them.
It didn't. They scored on the next play. However, you have got to hold on to the football until you cross the goal line.
Now, I will say this, and I said it on Twitter because I know the kid was busted up about it. And everyone's, I mean, who wants to be on the Come On Man on ESPN for Monday Night Football? Is it still on ESPN?
Yeah.
I don't even know. And then who wants to be on the Not So Top 10 and all that stuff? I've seen that, and I'm sure you have. I mean, you've watched as many games as I have, probably more in the past, so many years. It's happened. It happens at every level.
It's happened, but let's not try to make it out like
No,
it's a
I'm not
regular
saying-
occurrence either, because it is most certainly not. He's not the first player to ever do it.
Right. He won't be the last.
But that doesn't mean he should have been the next player to do it either.
Now, I'm willing to guarantee that'll never happen again.
Probably.
I
You're
mean,
probably right
he
on
caught
that.
a lot of Twitter heck, if you will. I think even family members were like,
Sure.
He said, I think one of his tweets was, Bryson Carroll's tweets was, my dad told me to always hand the ball to the official. The one time you don't listen to dad, bam.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And his
there's-
dad's a high school football coach.
Right,
so,
exactly.
As if he didn't get enough of it from Coach Davey and Joe Dooley, the offensive coordinator, and the Lobo coaches. I'm sure he got reamed by his father as well. It's been drilled into him now not to do that
and
again.
I'm sure the visit for Thanksgiving or Christmas back home, there will be a little bit more, what did I tell you, son? I don't think that'll happen again.
Hopefully not. But you're right. Look, he ran for 193 yards. He had a phenomenal game.
And he, I mean, since he's played, you just see that he's in. Now, I'm not saying that take out Davis because he's had a great year as well.
Coach Davey said this week you'll see both those guys.
And I think that's the right way to go.
And for those who don't know, Amari Davis didn't play because of back spasms. Yeah, so that gave Carroll the opportunity to get the bulk of the carries.
And I think you give Vigilant and Kentrell Moran, I think you give them carries as well. I think me personally, if I'm coaching this team, which I'm not obviously, but if I am, we're going to a run-oriented offense. Sorry.
Hold on, dude. They've been a run-oriented offense.
Well, but I mean specifically, just like they did against Colorado State, we're not getting out of it. We're going to go back to what we did best all those years.
But if you want to be successful with the run, you've got to be able to pass the ball. You don't have to do it a lot.
Well,
but you have to make teams respect the pass.
So you have enough,
But you don't have enough right now.
You do. You don't. I think with Marcus Williams, I think you have a premier possible tight end on this Lobo.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. But you've got you've got to be more efficient. You don't have to necessarily throw it more than 17 or 20 times, but you have to be better than 8 of 17. You have to be more efficient in the pass game so defenses at least respect the pass game. Doesn't mean you have to throw it 25 or 30 times, but you have to be efficient when you do it. And right now, the Lobos aren't.
True. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with more Lobos football talk, maybe some basketball talk.
Sure.
Terrace is the fullback. They give it to Lewis. Lewis at the goal line. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm, Dorian Lewis.
This is, by the way, second down and goal. And here's a toss to the end zone and a fade route, and it's caught. Touch.
He's going to throw it second time tonight. Throws it out, has a man out there. Ball is caught. That's Walker. Walker to the house. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm. Quarterback in the game. They're going to fling it out. Man's wide open. Ball is caught. 40, 30, 20. Can he get to the house? Touchdown, Cowboys. Look, throws it out, has a man out there. Ball is caught. 10, 5, the spread, touchdown.
Another first down. There goes Fuentes after they
Look at that move.
Buck action. Still on his feet.
Oh
Fuentes
my
might be part of the house. Touchdown. 28-yard run by the sophomore quarterback, Deshaun Fuentes.
Bit of a rebuild for him this year. Brandon Alvarado is the running back now as Ortega has it. Ortega at midfield. Ortega at the 40. Foot race to the sideline. 10, 5, house, touchdown, Cleveland Storm.
They've had to. That's for sure. This is probably the. Oh, what a
This
play
is
right
picked
there.
off, intercepted, and going all the way is Mara for the touchdown.
That may be the top play of the week. Yeah.
Here's the handoff to Jensen. And he breaks it, and look out! Shot out of a cannon! Tyler Jensen is into the end zone. Touchdown.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlings, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart. Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
All right, welcome back to Red Menace TV. This time I was warmed up and ready to go, so you allowed me to throw
about time
a long pass, overthrow.
Dude, easy.
Hey, quick question, and I said this jokingly, but I think this is just as much. You know, I'm a big Cowboy fan as well as a big Lobo fan.
It's like you're glutton for punishment.
Who gets hammered first? Who gets the axe first, Bob Davey or Jason Garrett?
This isn't going to make either fan base happy. I don't think either one of them.
You don't think so?
Here's the thing you got to remember about the Cowboys. First of all, Jason Garrett's not a bad coach.
No.
He might not be the guy to get them to the next level.
Right.
That's entirely possible. There's a reason he's lasted as long as he has with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
He works well with Jerry. Most any other head coach is going to want a lot of say in what goes on. That's why Jimmy Johnson, despite winning 2 Super Bowls, couldn't work out long term with Jerry. That's why Parcells couldn't work
Right.
out. Even his buddy Barry Switzer, who they brought in, won a Super Bowl with, couldn't work out long term. Jason Garrett goes with the flow. He realizes at the end of the day, it's Jerry's team. Jerry wants to run it the way Jerry wants to run it. That's why whether Garrett's the offensive coordinator or Linehan or Kellen Moore, the offense still looks exactly the same. I think Cowboy fans got teased a little in the early part of the season when you saw some different things. But in addition to their struggles, they've gone back to the same boring offense. And it can't be that that's what all those guys want to run. Obviously, that's Jerry's call one way or the other.
So I'm not an excuses guy. We talked off the air and I said, as soon as the offensive line kind of started crumbling,
sure,
that really caused them to change. But you're right. I mean, I think Cowboy fans were teased like Lobo fans playing the Aggies. Well, the Cowboys played 3 Aggies back to back, 3 Aggie type teams back to back to back. And all of a sudden it looked like, wow, this team could be magical. All of a sudden Dak's going to break the bank. Ezekiel Elliott's back. We've got these great wide receivers. Reggie Cobb's the man. Everything was spectacular. Then you run into a decent team, and all of a sudden the Cowboys are back to handoff on first down. Elliott falls for a yard or two. Handoff on, maybe throw a pass. It's 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1. You need that 1 yard. You hand it to Elliott. He never gets it. I can't recall a time when it's 3rd and 1 when Ezekiel Elliott actually is able to punch it in. And I said this, and maybe this, this might hurt Cowboy fans' feelings, but I don't think Ezekiel Elliott's that premier running back in the NFL. He's good. He's above average, but I don't think he's that megastar spectacular running back that.
I don't know that I'd go quite that far,
Okay.
But I think it's fair to say he hasn't looked like the Zeke of old yet this season. And
Zeke of old, he's 3rd year in the league.
I know, but the Zeke of the last 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And I know he was working out hard in Cabo while the rest of the team was at training camp and all that. There's a difference in working out in Cabo and working out with the team, and even taking some hits in practice in preseason games, even though they would have protected him. It's just not the same. So I think he's still struggling to get acclimated and get up to full speed. You mentioned the offensive line woes. I think that's 100% legit. Having said that, you should never lose to the Jets.
No,
The Jets really had their way with the Cowboys.
Right.
The final score was close. It was 24-22.
Yeah, they mounted a comeback.
But the Jets really controlled the majority of that game.
Oh, they did. And by the way, Brett Maher, can we go ahead and cut that? That guy has been unclutched since the day they got rid of Bailey and kept that guy. That guy misses more field goals than. I mean, I know he hit the 60-yarder, or whatever, 62?
62, yeah.
I mean, great, but he misses constantly. That's 2 weeks in a row he's missed a clutch field goal that was needed. I want to ask you, I don't want to just focus on just the Cowboys. Obviously, the Patriots are real because they're the Patriots.
Sure.
What do you think about the 49ers? Are they real? Are they legit? Or are they just the benefit of a really weak NFC all of a sudden?
Well, they might play in the toughest division.
Okay.
The NFC West. I've been really slow to get on their bandwagon because at some point in time I thought their true colors would show.
Right.
I think they're legit.
Okay.
I really do. That's a really good defense that they have, and they do a lot with an offense that really doesn't have a star playmaker.
No, I agree with you on that.
Their
defense is
the
pretty
tight
good.
end Kittle is really good, but you don't really have a stud receiver. You don't have a stud running back. But my goodness, do they find ways to score? And then you throw in that defense. That's going to be a tough division. Seattle's really good. I think the Rams are better than their record. Now the Cardinals are the Cardinals, but. Those top 3 teams, I think, are really going to battle it out.
I mean, top teams in the NFC right now, what, Saints?
The Panthers all of a sudden. The Panthers and the Saints, since Cam Newton and Drew Brees went out respectively, they're 8-0.
When Cam Babushka comes back, what are they going to do with him?
Who?
Cam.
Oh, Cam. That's a really good question. As long as they're playing well and Kyle Allen's playing well, I think you got to stay with the hot hand. Let Cam get 100%. I think a lot of Cam's struggles the last couple of years is he hasn't been 100%. As long as you're playing well, don't rush him back. Get him as close to 100% as you can, and then when you need him, then see what he can do. A lot of fans are saying, oh, Cam's done, he's busted up, he's broken. I don't think that's the case, but you got to get him healthy because with shoulder problems, that's obviously affected the way he's thrown. He's got the calf or the ankle now, whatever it is, affects his mobility. get him healthy. You know, you're doing well right now without him. There's no need to rush him back.
Hey, Kansas City Chiefs, have they fallen off completely? I mean, 2 in a row at home.
I'm amazed it took this long to realize, hey, if we want to keep Patrick Mahomes from destroying us, let's keep him off the field as much as we can.
Yeah.
Let's just try to control the ball. A lot of teams don't like to change what they do, but I think you've seen it the last 3 weeks, actually, and they won I believe it was the Ravens game, but these last 2 weeks, teams have just said, you know what? We're going to run the ball. We're going to try to eat clock. The longer we keep, the more we keep him on the sidelines, the less he can hurt us. And that's been a very effective formula. I still think they're really good. You look at their division. I mean, the Raiders are right behind them. I don't know that anybody expects the Raiders, with all due respect to them, to really be a threat, throughout the whole season. So I think they're going to be fine.
I mean, let's face it, the Broncos, if they win Thursday, are a half game behind it.
Broncos are hottest. Okay, there you go. The Broncos are the hottest team in that division right now. They've won 2 in a row. That tells you what you need to know about the AFC West.
After dropping 3 in a row.
Right.
Craziness, right? The only teams that are real are probably the Patriots. Seattle's pretty good, too. But
Seattle's legit. Russell Wilson has done a phenomenal job. The Saints are real.
I think the Saints are good. I mean,
the Patriots, obviously, in the AFC. I think overall the Chiefs are going to be fine, but that defense is brutal.
It's terrible.
It is absolutely brutal. And when you keep Mahomes off the field, you can't win those 42-35 shootouts. So,
real quick, I want to switch gears real quick. Cherry Silver now? It's no longer the...
Right, Cherry Silver.
It's no longer the Lobo Howl. It's Cherry Silver. Hasn't been the Lobo Howl for years. I don't know why anyone even makes a big deal about that. But
I think that was you.
No, I never did.
You just made a big deal out of it now.
I mentioned it, but I just... what are your thoughts? Jaquan Lyle's back.
Yep.
I think that helps out a lot. There's a lot of players. I mean, you don't get anything out of the Cherry Silver Howl.
No.
I mean, it's...
as long as you stay healthy through practice, leading up to the season, I think this team has the opportunity to be really good. They were picked to finish 3rd in the Mountain West behind Utah State and San Diego State, which I think is a really good spot for them. It shows some respect, but it also gives you room to exceed expectations.
How about your homeboy Steve Alford?
Picked to finish 4th.
Yeah.
Right behind the Lobos.
He's talking about coming into the pit. It's going to be great, but I've got my shield of Craig Neal, former Lobo. If you're counting on the fans to cut you some slack for Craig Neal, you might reevaluate that, Steve.
To be fair, he's also got Corey Alford, Ramon Martinez.
Ramon, at least you could say he was beloved. I don't think anyone else was.
There's somebody else on his staff
was like
that was a trainer or videographer here.
That nobody knows about.
Right. He's got a lot of former Lobos there.
But only one that people like.
Right. Well, be that as it may, honestly, and I got no problems really with either of these guys. I think Craig Neal probably gets the rougher treatment than all.
Well, yeah, because there's still people that still think. What did you used to call him?
Alford?
Yeah. It was
Saint Stephen Alford, the patron saint of Lobo victories.
Yes, yeah. I think there's people that still hold on to that and still think that.
I'm not even sure that's accurate, but that's what I call him.
Yeah, I like it. It's accurate. I think it's accurate. There's people that still like, oh, if Steve was still here, Saint Steve
never
was still
left.
here.
Yeah.
Right, but nobody says that about Neal. Yeah. I don't think anyone, even the people that were
made
T-shirts for him,
are
glad he's gone.
Things obviously didn't end well with the Craig Neal era, for sure.
Yeah.
Alford, if he sticks around, maybe the same thing happens with him that happened with Neal, but he didn't. So Lobo fans are, remember the good times and didn't really have to experience.
I just thought,
times.
does Bob Davey go shake hands with Craig and say, "I feel you, brother," or vice versa?
Oh no, I don't think so.
No, just
I don't.
They're both cut from the same cloth, I guess.
I don't want to go spreading rumors or anything, but no, I don't think that'll be happening.
Think that'll be happening?
No,
okay.
I do not.
There's the rumors that Bob goes to Arizona during the rest of the week, so who knows?
Oh, like during the season?
Yeah, just all the time.
Oh.
Just saying.
What do you think? He commutes in for practice every day? What the heck is wrong with you?
Well, Southwest flies back and forth. So does America West. He probably has those miles.
Nobody wants to spend that much time on Southwest. Let's be honest.
Well, there's American West.
Same thing.
Hey, I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and turn this over to Michael Frankel at Cage Minds. Catch you every day on 610 and 95.9, right?
Yes, sir.
And I listen on iHeartRadio. That's what I listen to. I
Appreciate
get to hear you on those times. For Michael Carlisle, for Alden Iowani, I'm Leroy Lucero. We'll see you next week. God bless you all.
My car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
To win the race, I can't even explain how, in fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. No matter where you go, you're an Indy 500 winner. The only way to be successful in racing is to stay on top of the technical edge, and we've done that with our dealership. So a lot of the technology in our service department and sales processes, and everything is the very latest. That gives you an edge. That's being competitive in the car business. You can take it any way you want, but that's the truth.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger that's created from certified Angus beef, sinfully cooked to juicy perfection, and garnished with New Mexico's Hatch green chili. Tempt your taste buds with mouth-watering fresh ingredients.
Cut! We're gonna need.
Nick Gutierrez is the fullback. They give it to Lewis. Lewis at the goal line. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm, Dorian Lewis.
This is, by the way, second down and goal. And here's a toss to the end zone and a fade route, and it's caught. Touchdown.
He's going to throw it second time tonight. Throws it out, has a man out there. Ball is caught. That's Walker. Walker to the house. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm. game. They're going to fling it out. Man's wide open. Ball is caught. 40, 30, 20. Can he get to the house? Touchdown, Cowboys. Drop and look. Throws it out. Has a man out there. Ball is caught. 10, 5. The spread. Touchdown.
Another first down. There goes Fuentes after they
Look at that move.
Buck action. Still on his feet.
Oh
Fuentes
my
might be part of the house touchdown. 28-yard run by the sophomore quarterback, Deshaun Fuentes.
Bit of a rebuild for him this year. Brandon Alvarado is the running back now as Ortega has it. Ortega at midfield. Ortega at the 40. Foot race to the sideline. 10, 5, house, touchdown, Cleveland Storm.
They've had success for sure. This is probably the. Oh, what a
This
play
is
right
picked
there.
off,
Intercepted, and going all the way is Mara for the touchdown.
That may be the top play of the week. Yeah.
Here's the handoff to Jensen. And he breaks it, and look out! Shot out of a cannon! Tyler Jensen is into the end zone. Touchdown.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Welcome to the place where we talk about people getting punched in the face. This is Caged Minds, and I'm Micah Frankel. Thank you, everybody that tuned in last week, even though I was on vacation. Hope you like what I sent in. Tampa was beautiful. UFC, of course, is always an amazing live experience. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get right to the highlights. Alden, hit those when you can. It was a busy weekend of action. We start off with the PFL. The playoffs have begun. We're talking about women's lightweight action and the welterweights. There will be no two-time champion. There was an impressive performance from Kayla Harrison. The armbar finish in the first round, securing her advancement into the finals. The upset, Larissa Pacheco is able to defeat Sarah Kaufman, turning her into a bloody mess by unanimous decision. So the rematch, Pacheco versus Harrison, will be your $1 million final. Then we go over to the men's welterweights. Ray Cooper is a back-to-back finalist. 11 seconds into the second round, a crushing right hook knocks out Chris Curtis. No two-time champion for the welterweights. Magomed Sharamov was not in this bout because of illness, was forced after defeating Curtis in the quarterfinals to pull out of the semifinals. David Mershad, went through two wars to make it to the finals, picking up a decision win over Glacio Franca in the semifinals. It was his wrestling, it was being able to score those takedowns, and really just the will. The Brazilian gassed out, and Merchant was able to keep pressing forward even though he was busted open. Bellator went international, went over to Italy. Bellator Kickboxing 12. And in the main event, retaining his Bellator Kickboxing featherweight title, actually by unanimous decision. Yes, Cristiano would actually get up from being knocked down, but Gabriel Varga retains the title. We also had MMA action in Italy. The main event had Melvin Manhoef. You know how they love their strikers there in Italy. It was a quick destruction, still explosive, still a devastating knockout artist. Not to mention, we saw an incumbent title challenger, Vadim Nebkov, the Team Fedor product, now 3-0. 3-0 against former champions in the Bellator cage. Overwhelming Rafael Cavallo with the striking, getting the fight to the ground, and becoming the victor with a rear naked choke, tight submission. That's 3 impressive victories. When Ryan Bader returns to light heavyweight, we know who the rightful #1 contender is. Then we head to the event that I was at live, UFC Fight Night in Tampa. We had a great card there. Started off with one of the most lopsided beatings that most people can remember in quite some time on 9 days' notice. 9 days' notice. Up a weight class from where he wants to perform. Mike Davis just puts it on Thomas Guilford. Overwhelming Guilford with the striking. Big hooks scoring with devastating damage throughout the affair. Probably should have been stopped long before Gifford was knocked completely unconscious by a one-punch, kind of a one-punch knockout, but not really after the succession of damage. About 15 seconds left in the bout. Referee Andrew Glenn actually pulled from the card after that one and not allowed to officiate. That's how bad of a job it was. Moving on, we had talked to him last week. Ryan Spann able to submit Devin Clark, who we talked to last week. Devin Clark, a great first round, getting the takedowns. But in the second round, the takedowns led to a guillotine choke attempt from Spann that was finished. A big victory there for the former LFA champion, and probably should be fighting somebody with a ranking next to his name in his next contest. We also saw some great ones. Eric Anders, Gerald Mershot went to war. Matt Frivola, Luis Pena, fight of the night type stuff there. And then another crazy knockout in only the fashion that Nico Price can. A guy that's knocked dudes out from on his back before with a hammer fist. This time it's the up kick. James Vick goes to sleep. Unfortunately, fell into guard on Price and took some more unnecessary damage, but it was hard to tell whether he was awake or not. Nico Price knocking out James Vick. and the destruction that Mike Davis put on Thomas Guilford, two of the more devastating knockouts I've seen in recent memory. Quite devastating finishes. And for James Vick, hopefully he takes some adequate time to heal, return quite quick from a knockout loss to Justin Gaethje. In the co-main event, it was veteran versus prospect. Cub Swanson taught a lesson to Kron Gracie. Gracie unable to implement his jiu-jitsu game, lacking in the wrestling, no real takedowns, causing this to be a boxing match. And Cub Swanson, that area is where he excels. A lopsided 30-27 unanimous decision for Swanson, proving that those that doubted there was still something left in the gas tank, he still has a lot of fight from the WEC vet. A marvelous performance there in the co-main event. Then we go to that main event, the number one contendership on the line in the strawweight division. And after all of the worry, all of the speculation throughout fight week, would Joanna Jędrzejczyk be able to make weight? She in fact did so, showed up fight night. And this was a case of where it wasn't like one party fought bad. It was one party fought great, while the other one fought good, and great was better on that night. Joanna Jędrzejczyk better in most rounds than Michelle Waterson, but not a bad game plan from the Jackson Wink product. Waterson getting inside on the clinch, cutting down the reach advantage of Jędrzejczyk. I know we got a photo of her getting hit at distance, but the majority of this fight was fought in the clinch. It was great slashing elbows from Jędrzejczyk that was able to score with damage. A big victory as she'll move on to be the first challenger to Wei Li Zhang, the strawweight champion. Moving on to Japan, we have 1 Century, a huge night of martial arts action. On 10 days' notice, Christian Lee, the one championship lightweight champion, jumps into the finals of the lightweight Grand Prix with an injury to Eddie Alvarez. Lee takes advantage and is able to out-wrestle Russia's Dong Yi and prove why he is the lightweight champion, a stunning unanimous decision victory. Mighty Mouse, for my money, is still the best flyweight in the world. He went over to 1 championship, and he's now dominated, running through the field in the flyweight Grand Prix, picking up the decision victory. Mighty Mouse showed off his full repertoire of striking and grappling ability, just falling short of getting the stoppage, but picking up a big, huge $1 million check and showing why he is one of the best to have ever done it. A stunning performance. And next up for Mighty Mouse, he will be challenging Adriano Moraes for the 1 championship flyweight title. The main event, this was of part 1 of 1 championship 100, the Century event. Angela Lee is able to successfully defend her atomweight championship. She had went up and tried to claim the 5-weight title from her foe right there, Zhang Wei. Zhang Wei had slammed that door closed. We figured out that both ladies are the top in their division. Now, on the second part of the 1 Century event, you saw the finals of the Kickboxing Lightweight World Grand Prix. Giorgio Petrosian, the Doctor, with a surgical performance, proving once again why he is regarded as the greatest kickboxer in the world. Big unanimous decision victory. The 4th meeting between Bibiano Fernandez and Kevin Furlong for the 1 Bantamweight Championship would see Fernandez get on the back, secure the rear naked choke, and put a definitive statement on this epic saga. We move up to the main event where Brandon Vera unfortunately falls short of his proclamation that he made a long time ago to become a multi-division champion. The 1 heavyweight champion could not match the power of the 1 middleweight and light heavyweight champion, Law and Song, who is able to withstand the brawl that broke out, devastating shots, knocking down Vera, finishing the heavyweight champion on the ground. Does Law and Sang move up to heavyweight and try to become a 3-division One championship champion. Huge event for them there in Japan. It was the Century event that was last week. A huge weekend for mixed martial arts action, and we got a lot coming up this week. Starting on Friday night, starting on Thursday night, you have the PFL playoffs continuing. We're talking about featherweights and lightweights. Names like Chris Wade and Nate Andrews to do battle. Lance Palmer, Andrew Gippen, Andre Harrison, all to be in action. The playoffs continue to advance to the finals for $1 million. You have to win 2 times in one night. You can check that event out on ESPN2 and ESPN+. Friday night, special Friday night event from Massachusetts. We have UFC action at the top, a light heavyweight main event. Former middleweight champion Chris Weidman moving up to take on unbeaten prospect Dominic Reyes. The rebooking of the main event from Mexico, where there was garbage spewing and the no contest due to an IPO. Yair Rodriguez, Jeremy Stevens, they finally get to slug it out. Saturday night, UFC Fight Pass. If you're still craving MMA action, Titan FC. Poster needs to be a little bit updated. Now only 2 title fights. But yes, still 2 title fights for you on UFC Fight Pass. Not to mention Kamaru Usman's brother, a couple other South Florida top prospects. And if you're looking to just watch some brawling, an interesting kind of event, bare knuckle boxing is back on pay-per-view. MMA vets, Bigfoot Silva, Gabriel Gonzaga to battle it out. Not to mention Jim Allers. Allers just absolutely destroyed Leonard Garcia last time out. And from The Ultimate Fighter, Let Me Bang Bro taking on Julian Lane. A full night of bare knuckle boxing action from the Florida State Fairgrounds. That is Saturday night. We talked about last weekend. We talked about this weekend. We got a lot more to talk about when we get back in just a minute.
Nick Gutierrez is the fullback. They give it to Lewis. Lewis at the goal line. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm. Dorian Lewis.
This is, by the way, second down and goal. And here's a toss to the end zone and a fade route, and it's caught. Touchdown.
He's going to throw it second time tonight. Throws it out, has a man out there. Ball is caught. That's Walker. Walker to the house. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm. Quarterback in the game. They're going to fling it out. Man's wide open. Ball is caught. 40, 30, 20. Can he get to the house? Touchdown, Cowboys. Look, throws it out, has a man out there. Ball is caught. 10, 5, the spread, touchdown.
Another first down. There goes Fuentes after they
Look at that move.
Buck action. Still on his feet.
Oh
Fuentes
my
looking
gosh.
to the house. Touchdown. 28-yard run by the sophomore quarterback, Deshaun Fuentes.
Bit of a rebuild for him this year. Brandon Alvarado is the running back now as Ortega has it. Ortega at midfield. Ortega at the 40. Foot race to the sideline. 10, 5, house, touchdown, Cleveland Storm.
They've had success for sure. This is probably the. Oh, what a
This
play
is
right
picked
there.
off, intercepted, and going all the way is Mara. for the touchdown.
That may be the top play of the week there.
Here's the handoff to Jensen. And he breaks it, and look out! Shot out of a cannon! Tyler Jensen is into the end zone. Touchdown.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all, or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
To win the race, I can't even explain how, in fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. No matter where you go, you're an Indy 500 winner. The only way to be successful in racing is to stay on top of the technical edge, and we've done that with our dealership. So a lot of the technology in our service department and sales processes, everything is the very latest. That gives you an edge. That's being competitive in the car business. You can take it any way you want, but that's the truth.
Welcome back, everybody. In just a moment, we're going to be joined by a special guest. Got a lot to talk about. He's had some recent fights, picked up some hardware. So we've got a lot to talk about coming up. But before we do that, let's touch on the local scene. Got a little slideshow for you guys. Coming up November 1st, it's a Friday night event at the Marriott Pyramid. Can't remember the last time I was there. Holmes Boxing. You have Antonio Tom Martinez there, back in the main event. Espanoola's own former King of the Cage champion Donald Sanchez. Rio Rancho's Irish Bryant McLean. Jackson Wink knockout artist Maurice the Hulk Jackson. Not to mention the rest of the team from Power and Glory Boxing. The next night, we'll be streaming it on the Facebook page. Please come, though, and try to join us live and local. It's nowhere to run. 3 amateur kickboxing, the stars of tomorrow on display now. The following Saturday, we're talking November 9th, Legacy Boxing Promotions, boxing again at Tingley Coliseum. Josh Pitbull Torres in the main event. Matthew Diamond Boy Grego, Angel Baby Aaron Pettis, Wedo Garcia versus Isaac Luna. A great card. Legacy Boxing Promotions presenting New Era Tingley Coliseum. And now let's welcome in our guest right now. He is the Maverick MMA Super Lightweight Champion. Got Travis Foster joining us. Shout out to you from The Image, My MMA News. Go check out that website. What's up, champ? How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being here today. Heard you were just out in action also. Rough MMA. Talk to me about the fight.
So the fight was didn't go as planned at all, except for me winning. That's the only thing that went as planned.
Went out to Arizona, took on Austin Verms, a guy originally from Carlsbad, New Mexico. Saw him come up on the King of the Cage circuit, so get into the details. Like, really, how to play out. What do you mean nothing went to plan? What happened?
So, as soon as the fight started, I went out there and I tried to get him out of there as quick as possible. And so I'm coming forward. Next thing I know, I'm getting clipped and I'm falling to my hand. First, like 15 seconds of the fight, this happens. So I immediately bounced right back up and just totally abandoned the game plan. Bit down on a mouthpiece, just started just swinging his bombs, hooks, overhands, coming forward, getting hit, still coming forward. Looked kind of like Diego Sanchez versus Gilbert Melendez. It was wild, you know. I ended up dropping him late in the first round, and it was crazy. The first round was just nuts. Came back to the stool in between rounds, caught my second wind. I started to feel a burn-in from a bad weight cut. Second round came out there a little bit more controlled, more precise, scored some major takedowns, was able to get the ground and pound TKO finish.
How do you recover? What's the thought? How are you able to get your bearings, to get up when you find yourself on the ground 15 seconds in?
The crazy part is I honestly thought I slipped until I saw the film and I realized, oh, he actually caught me coming in. Wow. I really thought I slipped because I was coming so hard and I was like, oh man, I just slipped. Bounced right back up.
So for the majority of us that are watching the fight on the outside, it feels different, right, to you guys, what's happening than what we're watching, right?
Oh yeah, totally. I didn't feel any. I didn't even know I got hit. I thought I just slipped. Maybe the canvas is slippery or some blood from the previous fights.
So you couldn't tell that you got clipped?
Nah, not at all.
Not at all. So a fun experience, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was in the state fair. Definitely a weekend to remember for sure.
So what do you take away from a fight like that?
A whole lot. I think what I take away from it is, number one is not to be so stubborn. You know, it reached a certain point in the first round where I just was like so determined to try to knock his head off, where that could have been my demise, where I should have probably just threw a double jab and took him down. And when I decided to do that, I took him down at will. Yeah, I learned not to be so stubborn.
And now this is a role for you. I believe this is. Am I wrong in saying this is 3 in a row? Is it 3 in a row more?
It would have been 3 in a row, but it's actually 2 in a row.
2 in a row, but you did get the belt because the other guy no-showed, missed weight, a lot of shenanigans. Talk to us about what it meant for you to get the Maverick MMA title and fill everybody in on this full encompassing story of how you got the belt.
Yeah, so actually September 13th or 14th, one of the 2 days, I was supposed to compete in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania for the Maverick MMA inaugural 165-pound, which they're calling a super lightweight division title. Only God knows what really happened. Allegedly, the opponent tore his ACL a week before the fight, which I don't believe that, but yeah, so he backed out a week before the fight. And since it was a vacant title, I was still awarded the title. I just didn't actually physically fight for it. So I'm currently the Maverick MMA super lightweight champion. I just wasn't able to obtain the win against the opponent for it.
And you did win a semifinal bout to get to the finals.
Yes, sir. Back in June 1st was a title eliminator fight. I won that one by 3rd round rear naked choke, and that earned me the title shot September. And yeah.
A wrestler who transitioned to mixed martial arts about a decade, cutting weight, now trying to fight at 165 pounds. How do you feel that weight class that not a lot of promotions has? How do you feel that one suits you?
I feel like it suits me great. You know, not just me. I feel like in general, you know, we got the people who actually end up having more energy levels when you're not cutting as much weight. The fights are better, the fighters perform better, the fans are more happy because they get someone who could go 100% for 15 minutes instead of 100% for 4 minutes.
So you felt it's been valuable?
Oh, for sure, definitely.
Do you think that there's a hope that we could see this, maybe more promotions going with these weight classes, or you think that this was an innovative risk from Maverick?
Only time will tell. I think it's going to take for more fighters to be more vocal about it and come together. And unfortunately, I think it's going to take more tragedies to happen going down to 155 for them to bring in 165. You know, it's too big of a gap. You know, in boxing, they have like every 5 pounds, every 7 pounds. And you got from 15 pounds from 55 to 70, 15 pounds from 70 to 85. It's too huge of a gap.
Well, how big of a gap do you feel there already is right now? Just a lot of people are going to say, well, if you want 65, why not just 70? this only 5 pounds. That same almost argument applies. How do you feel that the competition is different from 65 to 70?
Yeah, you know, I can't totally explain it, but I could try my best. And what I mean by that is, like, once you get on the other side of 165 pounds, it's just a different type of power, a different type of strength. Is your body just feels differently once your weight gets higher than 65. And there's some people who are very huge, very big, and they can make 70. It'll be rough, but they definitely can't make 165. So it definitely puts like 2 different categories, 2 different brackets of, you know, size and fighters.
And seeing you tween having taken fights from 55 up to 70, not a lot of promotions having that 65, where do you expect your future to entail currently?
I expect my future for me to end up at 170. I'm extremely confident about moving up to 170. I'm currently have some things in the works as far as gaining more weight, gaining more strength, more power, and you can definitely expect me to make a huge splash at 170.
A New Jersey native who came out to New Mexico chasing the dream, how do you feel the decision has been?
It's been a roller coaster. It's been wild for sure. From taking boxing fights to taking MMA fights at 185, for having 4-month camps. By the way, this last fight was a 4-month fight camp, going all the way down to 160, going to Phoenix, Arizona, going to Colorado. Oh man, it's been wild.
What's your why?
My why is to inspire all of the youth. You know, a lot of kids have come from broken homes, have very uncontrollable anger, and I want to show them that they could channel that emotion, whatever that emotion may be, into something positive, whether it's boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, karate, whatever, instead of street fighting or gangs.
Why? Why did you choose that you wanted to, what was it that inspired you to want to go in that direction to make a statement like that?
Well, I just would like to be, for someone else, what I wish I had when I was their age. You know, I didn't have a trailblazer saying, hey, you know, do this, do that, do this, do that. So I just would like to be what I needed so desperately from the age of 6 up until 16.
And what's the push to keep going?
God for sure, and then redemption secondly, you know, and a legendary comeback story.
That we've seen the record, it's turning around, it was lopsided. Go to cageminds.com, check out more with Travis Foster. We've got more interviews, hear more about his stories. Gotta thank him for joining me here today. Gotta thank Alden behind the scenes, always doing great work for us. cageminds.com. Thank you, ProView Networks. Also, check out the Sports Animal on Saturdays, 11 to 1. You can hear me on the mic with Mike Adams. Thanks for joining us this week.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Sadie's is a proud